For once, somebody out there with the guts and the fortitude to actually tell the truth. Facebook screwed up my page. Can't get signed on. Oh, it's got to ask for a password. You put the right password in. They tell you the password is an old password. You make up a new page. This is the garbage you got to go through, and we call it freedom of speech. It's called freedom of limited speech. And what we exist in, a Rothschild central banking cartel, a bureaucratic, plutocratic, oligarch, minuscule, mindlessly thinking, following, conform, compliant, narcissistic sheep, fake-ass American citizens. You got a piece of garbage from Scotland, and nobody wants to tell the truth about it, because everybody wants to play this bandwagon, American flag-waving, constitutional bullcrap of pathological historical lies by pirate terrorists off the boats of Columbus, terrorists, scum sent from the royal pedophile, child molesting, homophobic idiots in England and Spain, armadas that dumped their ghetto trash on the shores of America, that massacred and genocide a race of people. But you want to come to grips with government. You never had a government. You had a terrorist regime of a bunch of pirates, barbarics, uncivilized, heathenic scum. And how does that transcend or equate to a civilized population of people? There's no such thing. Because from garbage, you get garbage. And you think this 7-year-old adolescent toddler tweeting moron that you didn't even elect, it was selected by your Rothschild central banking cartel. And you dumbass morons of conformity, compliant, brainwashing, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil idiots never think what really goes on in this country. That's why you have some fake-ass investigation by the Senate committee, by Mueller, by the FBI, CIA, NSA, MI5, MI6, Homeland Security. It's nothing but an endless rabbit hole of bureaucracy and red tape and lies upon historical lies that no one takes privy to, and realize you lived a lie all your damn lives. But yet nobody wants to think. Nobody wants to actually go out there and speak the truth because they are afraid of an assassin's bullet. Like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, John Kennedy, anybody who goes out there and really stands out for truth. You're either crucified like Jesus, or you get an assassin's bullet. And you got these cup of Joe, Republican, yuppie, conservative idiots speaking the same crap over and over again redundantly. It's like they're talking to mindless idiots and infant toddlers that you have to say something over and over again, 24 hours a day. Like mature people can't think for themselves, which in most cases in this country you don't, because you're caught up into your own self-gratification of perversion and what you call living. But you're nothing but the walking dead. First of all, they already knew this man was scum. The lowest of lows. His whole family started with his daddy, grandfather, and his uncle. Nothing but criminal scum. And you allow it in the White House, and you're going to sit there now and talk about it like it's something new. How is it anything new when you knew about it all along? And then you have these mindless, gutless, what you call a stolen American citizens who just follow along like dogs on a leash. You know the man's dirty. You know the man is owned and operated by Russia, mafia. He dealt with the mafia here in America. You got Flynn. You got so many people that's in his entourage of criminal terrorists allowing this monkey to make money off the American taxpayers. And you see it every day. Passing this criminal tax bill that you know only the rich, 1% elitists is going to make a profit, while the rest of you suffer like you always suffered. Because you have no intellect in understanding what really goes on in a political circus of a bunch of bureaucrats, aristocrats, plutocrats, and oligarchs. You never knew it. Although your history gives you an idea of what goes on, but yet and still you'll sit there every day looking at the idiot tube, sitting in your little idiot chairs and just absorbing all the propaganda that they want you to hear. Nothing of truth. It's all lies. And now you got some knucklehead from an immigrant mother, a racist, bigoted, cowardice father, a draft-dodging grandfather who was kicked out of Germany, a pimp, exploitation of women, uncle. So you think something's good's going to come out of this man. You bunch of evangelical reprobate idiots down south in the Bible Belt. So-called holy rollers, I love Jesus. You have no inclination of what Jesus is or what Jesus ever stood for. Jesus was never a racist, a bigot, a mint julep, wine bibbing, snuff chewing, redneck that has no inclination of what goes on in the world except becoming an incest inbreeding of uncivilized idiots. Which in all intents and purpose, you gave that away back in 1871 when Rothschild family, another people you hated, took your stolen country away from you. Because you dumb rednecks were too stupid. You couldn't run a bank because your banks got broke trying to keep up with the Civil War. That I redundantly told you, and I reiterate, idiots fighting idiots. Illiterate idiots fighting illiterate idiots. Because you have no true intellect. Because if you did, you would know that Rothschild family financed both sides of the war. Same thing he did with British and the France war. And somehow you think criminals, terrorists, murderers, slaughtering, pillaging and raping scum can create a constitution, can create a Bill of Rights. Tell me, how is that even humanly possible? It's not. Anything that is built on garbage and filth will remain garbage and filth. And that's your stolen America. And I don't care who you put in office, a black man, white man, gray man, gay man, lesbian woman. It all stands for the same thing. Garbage. And until you come face to face with the truth, and the truth is that you live in filth, and unless you clean the filth up, it will always remain filth. You can call it a government, you can call it a Supreme Court, you can call it a Senate committee, you can call it Senate, legislation, lawmakers, all you want. It's filth. It's terroristic filth from the gutters and sewers of Spain and England. And that's the raw truth, whether you want to face it or not. And you dumbass American people that you think that you have all the intelligence in the world and the rest of the world are idiots. They know who the idiots are now. Just who that you put in office, this monkey that's on Rothschild's chain, keeping the rich rich and making the poor poor, stripping you of all the dignity and equality that you ever thought you had, which you don't. Which in all intents and purposes you are slaves, and you will remain slaves. Just like the rest of the world. How 1% of people with money can rule 99%. It's just asininely, pathetically stupid. But somehow, if you tell a lie long enough, convincing enough, the monkeys will believe it, as they have for decades and generations. That somehow this trickle-down theory of a pyramid scheme of overtaxation and debt, somehow you think you're going to prosper from that. The very thing that you live in, which is your house, you don't even own. And you constantly, every day, get deeper and deeper in debt. Through loans, through cars, credit cards. You're consuming idiots. And they know that. That's how they brainwash you, by the idiot too. And buy. Anytime a criminal, a pathological liar, xenophobic, misogynist, rapist, pussy grabber, sexually abuser of women, rapist, real estate criminal mogul, like his dad, like his son-in-law, like his sons, never served in the military, never will, cowardice, filth, who hide within their money. Like most wealthy, rich elitists, who hide within their wealth. And don't ever talk about justice, because there is none. Don't even talk about laws, because there are none. When the very person who supposedly run this infrastructure of hypocritical lies, pathological, psychopathic criminals that you call lawmakers and Supreme Court and DOJ, Granny Clampett, the Attorney General, who has no clue of what justice is, who lived down south where justice never even existed. Just incest, inbreeding, maggot, filth, redneck morons. Now you want to tell me about justice. And these freaking idiots, evangelical reprobated filth, you enslave yourselves. You went to war with each other. And you want to talk about a race war? No such lie. Because any civilization that wars against itself is barbaric. It's heathenous. And you want to talk about a Donald Trump. You are the epitome of a Donald Trump. Because all you've done all your lives was just tell lies. Your history is full of it. Your school lessons are full of it. Your colleges are full of it. Your teachers and professors are full of it. So how do you think that somehow the truth is going to come out when you're constantly, redundantly telling pathological lies? And you want to point out just one white piece of filth, pathological liar owned by Russian mafia. And everybody knows the Russian mafia owns it. CIA knows it, NSA, MI5, MI6, FBI. You all know that he was bought by Russia a long time ago, centuries ago, like his daddy. But somehow you bring up this little mockery, this little facade of a Senate committee, a Senate hearing, an investigation, Mueller's investigation, FBI investigation. Conglomerate of a bunch of rabbits in a rabbit hole. Compromising, covering up the truth. You people ought to get tired of being stupid. Seriously. You ought to be tired of being stupid. I mean, even a drug addict sometimes just get tired of being sick. Y'all ought to get tired of being uneducated, inept idiots. You ought to just get tired. Tired of hearing the same people. A bunch of painted clowns with short dresses. A bunch of slick-haired suits and ties. A bunch of old, crackled face, pantsuit wearing idiots on Capitol Hill and in the White House. And now you got the Jed Clampett regime, owned by Russian mafia in China. But somehow, although you know it's absolutely wrong, absolutely uncivilized, barbaric, and heathenish, but you'll agree with it. Because you're a bunch of pathetic, narcissistic masochists. Just love pain, love misery. You hear nothing of truth. That's why you're sad. You're a sad image of humanity. And not even talking about civilization, because there's nothing civilized ever about this country. I was hoping at one time in my life that when I was as a kid and I went to school and I attended college, I would think that somehow it would turn around. Somehow people would wake up, their eyes would open, their ears would open to understand what truth really is. It never happened. And it never will happen. And the sad part is, and the truth that you have to face, it never will happen. And as much as you try to put out their hope, the blue wave, the red wave, whatever the case may be, there is no wave. It's a tsunami of inept, unintelligent, idiotic reprobates that has taken over the world. And until you come to grips with actually who's and what is running this country, you'll never get it. You'll keep wallowing in this filth and swamps and diseased sexual perversion, immorality of an unethical, immoral society, until you come grips what true humanity is supposed to be like, which none of you have a clue. And whatever I say on this video, you're not going to get that either. Because for decades and centuries, you've been stuck and stupid. Anytime a family that has backdoor communications, that dealt directly with Russian mafia, ripped off millions of people from their hard-earned money, businesses, banks, other countries, slave labor, products made overseas in slave camps where people work for pennies on a dollar, extortion of real estate, endless bankruptcies in Chapter 11, which anybody else would equate to the banks and creditors wouldn't even touch you. But somehow a family that dealt with Russian mafia to bail them out, they're heroes to you. Somehow they are your saviors. They are the very filth that stinks in the nostrils of humanity, is what it is. Unadulterated filth that you praise and call America. That's why you're in a hopeless situation. Because you're forever sheep. You will never be anything else or know anything but being sheep and slaves of illegal taxation and debt by Rothschild family. They realize that. You never realize that. I'm done.